Hello, this is Father Hightower, and welcome to Vox SFX, the voice of St. Francis Xavier Parish in Missoula, Montana. We are so pleased that you have joined us. Your participation enriches our entire community. We hope that our show serves as a point of light, helping to deepen our understanding and experience of the Catholic faith in history. So join us as we seek through prayer, study, interviews, and discussion the roots of the practice of our faith. God bless.
One of the central features at any given parish are the Knights of Columbus. The Knights are an organization that are dedicated to charitable work, to serving God's people wherever they may be, whether they are Catholic, whether they are Christian, whether they are none of the above. We are here to serve. I am very proud to be a part of this organization. My grandfather was in it, and I was proud of his service. And so when I was invited to join the Knights, it was a really, really cool thing. It was a deep honor for me because it carries on that tradition. It's a tradition that is fundamentally American, but has spread all over the world. The message, the mission of the Knights of Columbus are universal. It was founded by Blessed Father Mike McGivney in the late 1800s. And while the Knights' original mission was to provide aid for the widows and the orphans of men who had gone to war, the purview has expanded, and it is now inclusive of very many things. This local council, as you'll hear from Bob Lawrence here in a moment, is heavily involved in our church, in our community. It's a very important organization. I'm honored to be a part of it. And there's not much I can say that Bob doesn't say in this episode, so I think it's a good idea to sit back and enjoy as we talk to Bob Lawrence about the Knights of Columbus. With me in the studio today is my brother Knight, Bob Lawrence. Bob, thank you for coming on.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, Bob, how about you introduce yourself a little bit to the folks real quick?
So I am Bob Lawrence. I've been with the Knights of Columbus since 2006. I am currently the chancellor with our local council here, 1021, and I'm also the state treasurer. There are currently just under 5,000 Knights of Columbus in the state of Montana. I'm based out of here in Missoula. I attend church at St. Francis. Like I said, I joined in 2006. I was Grand Knight for a couple of years back 10 years ago. And I'm with 1021. We do a lot of local stuff in the community that we'll get to here in a short time.
Are you a Missoulian native?
Nope. I moved out here in 1991. I actually moved to Pocatello for a year in 1991 from Michigan. I grew up in Michigan, and then I moved there for a year, and then I moved up to Missoula in 1992, and I've been here ever since. So,
well, I think that's long enough to consider yourself a Montanan.
Exactly. That's 33 years. That's a pretty good run, so that's more than half my life.
Today we're talking about the Knights of Columbus, which is a men's organization within the Catholic Church.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about the history of the Knights. When was it founded and why?
They were founded in 1882 in New Haven, Connecticut by Father Michael McGivney. It was originally set up as a kind of charitable organization to help other gentlemen's families, like say when the husband passed away and he left a widow and all the kids, it was originally set up for that. So that's sort of where the basis of the insurance program came from. But the insurance is an important part of the Knights, but it's certainly not the end all of it here. We're basically a charitable organization. We're referred to by a lot of people as the strong right arm of the church, meaning that we do a lot of charity work, a lot of physical things. A couple of years ago, we helped clean out the church and the basement and all the different buildings. That was 10 years ago when they were having a big renovation. We do a lot of fundraisers, barbecues, all that kind of stuff. I still remember one time when Father Perry was here. I was on church council. I believe that was in 2003 or so, and I was one of the church council people. And I don't remember what the topic was, but whatever came up, and Father Perry said, "Oh, I'll just have the Knights take care of it. They'll do a great job." And I was thinking, wow, that's pretty impressive, because I wasn't a Knight, and he could just basically contact whoever the Grand Knight was at the time, and whatever the situation was, they would take care of it. I thought that was pretty impressive.
That is pretty impressive. How are the Knights organized?
So in Montana, there's 56 councils. So there's councils in every state. There's some in different countries. I know there's a lot of them over in Ukraine and over in Europe and down in the Philippines, and pretty much wherever there's the Catholic Church, I believe there's a Knights of Columbus Council there. But in Montana, we have 56 councils. It's easy to remember because we have 56 counties. There's not necessarily one per county. But right here in Missoula, we have 2 councils. We have St. Francis Xavier's Council, unofficially is Council 1021. So a lot of the guys that go to St. Francis go to that council, but it's certainly not exclusive to that. We also have a lot of guys from Christ the King and St. Anthony's. And then Council 13022 is based out of Blessed Trinity. Most of the guys attend that church, but again, it's not exclusive. You can attend whichever churches you want to and join any council. But then there's councils all over Montana. There's Kalispell, Billings, there's councils in Webo, I believe. So the small ones, some of them are a lot bigger. We're one of the larger councils. We have around maybe 150 total members, I believe. That's pretty good. Again, it's probably like a lot of organizations. It's, the 30 or 40% that do a lot of the stuff, but there's other guys who still want to be Knights and don't have time to participate, but they support us in other ways here, prayers or financially or whatever the case may be.
Why is it that Missoula has 2 councils?
That's a good question. The other council formed around just over 20 years ago, I believe. So I joined in 2006, and I believe they joined right before that. I think, to be honest, I think they just wanted to have a second council based out of Blessed Trinity, or at the time back then it was called Holy Family Church. And then they kind of merged with one of the other churches and joined their own. So that's a good question. I mean, Missoula's a big town. Well, for example, Billings has 4 councils. Kalispell has 2. I believe Great Falls has 2. Probably Helena has the largest council because they have, it's a big city and they have a lot of guys there. I think Bozeman has a couple, but yeah, there's councils all over the place. Havre, Lewistown.
So it sounds like it's geographic by population.
Yeah, exactly. So it depends on how many churches are there and how many guys. For example, I was membership director for the western half of the state, and I learned a lot more about it then. But like the council and Roundup, I remember talking to the membership guy. His name is Pat Perella. He's the membership director for the entire state. And they have a hard time getting new guys because it's such a rural area and there's only so many Catholics and 95% of them are already Knights. So unless the guy turns 18, there's only three things you have to be a Knight. You have to be a male, you have to be over 18, and you have to be a practicing Catholic. And yeah, there's only a certain number of people who meet that criteria in those rural areas and stuff. But again, Montana's booming here, especially since COVID, so we're getting more and more Knights and everything. So more and more people coming to town, more and more Knights, and more good we can do for the community.
The Knights aren't only exclusive to the United States anymore, though, are they?
Nope, they're in Europe. There's a huge Filipino population. I know we've done a lot of work, with the situation going on in Ukraine and Russia and everything. Like the Knights from the other countries around are all pulling together, especially Poland, I believe. And we're sending care packages over there and helping out with Knights and families who are displaced, or just not just Knights. I mean, anybody who's displaced due to the circumstances over there.
That's interesting that it's now a global organization, even though it was founded for a specific reason in the United States. And that really shows how the mission of the Knights has expanded.
Yeah, good point and everything. And it's a global organization. It's still the Supreme headquarters is right here in the United States. In fact, our Supreme Convention is coming up in Washington, D.C. in August. And every year, I'm kind of getting a little bit off track here, but every year it goes to a different place. So a few years ago, it was in Florida. Next year, it's in Denver. Last year, it was in Quebec. This year, it happens to be in Washington, D.C. And each state gets to send 2 delegates. So I'm pleased to announce that I'm one of the delegates. I've been running for the last half a dozen years. I've always been an alternate, but this year I got it, myself and Leaf, who is the future Grand Knight of Council 13022. Yeah, Leaf Griffin. So he and I are the 2 delegates from the state of Montana, along with our future worthy state deputy, Bernie Adams. Right now, Marty Beatty he's our state deputy for another 2 weeks, and then July 1st we'll have our new one, Bernie.
Both of the state delegates are from Missoula then. That's pretty
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, it is kind of, it works out well because in previous years, anybody can throw their name in the hat and stuff. I think a couple of years ago, there was 15 guys that threw their name in the hat. You basically elect them at the state convention, and the state convention moves to different places as well. So this past year was in Helena. Before that, it was in Hamilton. Before that, it was in Butte. Before that, it was in Lewistown. It goes I've been to like maybe 10 of them. Up in Libby, up in Havre. One time it was in Miles City. I didn't go over there, but that's where you selected and everything. So yeah, it's great to have two guys from Missoula going. Last year it was two guys from Hamilton.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the core values.
The 4 core values of the Knights of Columbus are charity, unity, fraternity, and then the 4th degree value is patriotism. First one is charity. The Knights obviously do a lot of charitable work. In fact, that's why I joined the Knights. 20-something years ago, I went to a Christmas party, and I was talking to John Turner. He's a Knight. He was actually gracious enough to donate a DeLorean car for us way back when I joined in 2006. And we had a big raffle and auction. Yeah, we raffled it all off. And we were talking about the Knights of Columbus, and I would see him in all the barbecues and all like that. And I just remember what John told me was, it's basically just a bunch of Catholic guys who get together a couple times a month, and we get around and talk about how we can help people in the community, not just Catholic people, but other people as well, as far as doing like service projects and fundraisers and what we can do for the church and just whatever the case may be. So, and I was thinking, hey, that sounds like a good organization. So, so I joined in March 2006. Been one ever since.
Let's go on to our next value here, which would be
unity. I think the unity is important because it's a great group of guys, not just here in Missoula, not just in our 2 councils in the local area, but the whole state. I go to the state conventions here because, like I said, I'm a state treasurer, so I see a lot of the same guys. But all the guys kind of pull together, and I think it's the same way, all across in every council in every state. If there's like a natural disaster, the Knights jump in. I know when we had that Katrina hurricane here, whenever that was 15, 20 years ago, the Knights are very prevalent in that. And there's a monthly magazine called the Columbia Magazine, and if you look in that, there's a lot of great articles in the beginning. There's always the Catholic Man of the Month, and they give it a whole paragraph about historical stuff about whomever this person is. But then in the back, there's just 4 pages, and they're all broken down by charity, unity, fraternity, and patriotism, and it's all what local councils are doing. So basically the local person, kind of like the poker tournament I run. I've been doing that for, I don't know, since I started, I guess, almost 20 years as well. I should probably send them a note and quote how much, and then next thing you know, 1021 will be in there. When we gave away the DeLorean, I think that was the last time I remember our council being in there. And there was a picture of our Grand Knight, Michael Haugen, who passed away, sadly, several years ago. But there was a picture of him with the young gentleman who won the DeLorean and everything. So, yeah. But yeah, the magazine's great, and it brings all that stuff together. But there's 2 pages on charity and unity, fraternity and patriotism, and it lists what all these individual councils are doing.
This core value of unity is even more important in our current age because Pope Leo has called for unity across the church.
Oh.
And so I think that idea of the Knights is one that is extremely kind of concurrent with what our Holy Father is going after.
Oh, yeah. Good point. I'm actually kind of hoping he comes to the Supreme Convention because since he's, from the United States and it's in Washington, D.C. this year, he goes to different countries. I know like last year it was in Quebec. That would be awesome if he could come, but so far I'm not quite sure if he's going to make it or not. That would be great. I'd be honored to be in his presence.
Well, if that's planned, I might tag along to that.
There you go. Yeah, I'll have extra room in the hotel, I'm sure. So you can sleep on the couch.
Well, on that note, let's move on to the idea of fraternity.
Fraternity, yep. It's a men's organization. Like I said, there's only 3 requirements. You have to be, a man, practicing Catholic, and be at least 18 years of age. A bunch of guys that get together. We have our meetings on the 1021. We have on the 2nd and 4th Thursdays of the month. On the first meeting, we always get together for dinner. Sometimes it goes around and different people cook different things. Yeah, there's a lot of camaraderie, and then we do all the events, and people pick what they want to do based on their area of expertise, or if they want to learn something new. And it's a good time for guys, young and old. We have Knights. We have a lot of new Knights who are college age guys who just joined in the last few years, and they do stuff when they can. Obviously, they're going to school and doing their studies and doing whatever else they're doing. But and then we have older guys. The oldest guy in our count, Red Ryman, he's the oldest guy. He just got an award for being a Knight for 75 years.
Wow.
So he joined when he was 18 or 19 or something like that. I believe Red is, 93 years old. And he comes in a meeting and he listens and he puts in his 2 cents here and there and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of a rarity to have a night be a night for 75 years.
Well, and there's also the greater idea of supporting one another, the idea of, helping each other out. Like I've heard a part of each of the meetings, there's the idea of proposing a prayer for whoever might need it.
Oh, yeah.
And then I've also heard that it's uncouth to speak ill of a brother knight.
Oh, yeah, it is and everything. Kind of like if a priest or a bishop or somebody, a clergyman walks in the room, you always want to stand not at attention. You just want to stand as a sign of respect. But yeah, I don't think I've ever heard another knight talk disparagingly about a knight at all that I can remember. I mean, obviously, some guys are better at other things here or there or whatever. If I burn one of my burgers and somebody tells me about it, well, I'm not going to take that personally. But I don't think I've burned a burger here in a long time. If I do, I'll eat it myself. So, but yeah, it's a great group of guys, and yeah, they all have their roles, but we all pitch in together and do a lot of our different things. So it depends on what you want to do.
And that same idea of fraternity, we come from all different walks of life too. Like there's a knight in just about every profession that I can think of.
Oh, yeah, there is. I mean, I guess I'm in banking. Kevin's a dentist. A lot of the guys are retired. A couple of the guys are ranchers. Look at you. You're a knight and you work at a church and everything here. So, yeah, you can be any kind of profession you like, and the more we have, the better. Yeah, it's good to be diverse and spread it out. They're all welcome, as long as you're Catholic.
As long as you're Catholic.
Exactly. Nothing against any other religion, but they have their fraternal groups, I'm sure, as well, and we have ours, and I'm sure we all get along and have similar value systems as what the other groups would have as well.
Well, it doesn't mean that we can't all live in the same community and try to take care of each other.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree 100%. Because wasn't there, 20, 30 years ago, wasn't there some kind of defamation to the Jewish synagogue down there on Russell Street? And I remember at the time, I think it was even before Father Perry, when they basically, help support, the Jewish community and everything, and help clean up and, physically go out there and clean off the graffiti and whatever the stuff was. So, yeah, just because we're Catholic doesn't mean we're not going to help all these other groups.
So let's talk about this fourth value here, patriotism.
Patriotism, yep. Yeah. So that's considered the 4th degree value. We used to have the really big plume-filled hats and everything. They kind of look like, you're like a sailor from Master and Commander, that movie from years ago, or some people made fun of it and said it's like a Captain Crunch hat. But now they have, exactly. But now we have a more updated thing, more updated outfit / uniform. We have a beret. The guys wearing suits. You have your baldric or your sash and swords for certain events and everything. So that's what a lot of people see. So the patriotic 4th degree, we do like a lot of funerals. We did a bunch of stuff for Memorial Day. We'll do things on Veterans Day. We'll just do whatever special masses that occurs that is appropriate for us to honor the patriotic side of the Knights of Columbus.
So it's very much like an honor guard then.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yep, it's an honor to be able to go up there and represent the Knights.
Let's talk now a little bit about what the Knights practically do.
Quite diverse group of things. So we do, the most recent one we did was the highway cleanup. Actually, I ran the Keep Christ in Christmas poster contest. And so we've been doing that off and on for probably 15 years. We did that stuff. What else do? We do a lot of barbecues. We do the fish fries, obviously, during Lent. We'll do 5 or 6 of those during Lent, every Friday during Lent, except for Good Friday, obviously. Coming up in a couple of weeks, we're doing the spaghetti feed right here at St. Francis. Oh, the poker night. We do our charitable poker night here that I started 15, 16 years ago. So we'll have 8, 10, 15, 20 guys all get together. Ladies are certainly welcome. Half the pot will go to charity, and the other half will go to first and second. We also do a lot of financial support and prayer support for seminarians and then ladies who are nuns in training. We support at least one seminarian, a priest in training, and at least one nun through our local council. That's all on the council level. And then we do more on the state level. So we just had our state convention the very first day. We wrote checks for, $20,000, $30,000 for different organizations. Big one is the Special Olympics. We gave one to, it's called the Native American Children's Fund. It's based out of Red Lodge. There's some money that goes to an organization that basically helps the highway patrol. Like say there's an accident, there's a little kid, stuck on the side of the road while the parents and the police are dealing with the situation. They give him or her like a teddy bear or a blanket or a pillow or something to comfort them during the situation. And then we gave some to the Great Falls Council. They have some pro-life signs over there that just needed repair, so that was part of our contribution to that as well. They supported it on their own level, but they needed an extra few $100s or so to finish the project, and we help with that too on the state level. So yeah, there's a lot of things like that.
Yeah, it sounds like the Knights are very much involved in the community.
Oh yeah, exactly, 100%. And I guess I'm lucky in some ways to see a lot of it from the state level.
So if you were to envision an ideal future for the Knights of Columbus, what would it look like to you?
Ooh, that's a big question there. Let's see. Ideal like in the long term?
Sure.
Yeah. I'll say just keep the organization going. We can get more and more Knights in different countries and kind of build the faith and build the organization that way. That would be ideal.
Well, it helps also support, like we were talking about, Pope Leo's message of unity. Having these organizations around the world means that there is a sense of brotherhood around the world.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. And again, it's a global organization. I don't know how many millions of Knights are. I mean, there's 2 or 3 million, I think, at least. I mean, last I looked in Montana, there was 4,963. So we're doing a little promotion now. Whoever signs up the 5,000th Knight gets, I think we're getting like $100 towards their council, and then they can use that for whatever they want to do. So, yeah. That's kind of a side note, but yeah, if we can get more and more, they bring on new councils. I'm not going to say on a daily basis, but at least on a monthly basis, I'm sure the Supreme people do. So, yeah, that's a little bit out of my area of expertise, but maybe I'll learn more when I go to that convention here in August on the Supreme level. That would be great.
Well, a little bit out of your level of expertise for now.
Good point. So, yeah, that would be great if I could if I can go up to one of those national levels, because at every state convention, and even we have 2 meetings a year just for the state officers meeting. We have a summer meeting and a winter meeting. This year's summer meeting will be 25 Knights from around the state, and that actually goes from place to place. One year was in Roundup. I think last year was in Helena. The year before that was in Havre. This year it's all the way out in Baker. So one of the past state deputies lives in Baker, and he's like, "Hey, why don't we have it out here?" And it's like, okay. So I'll be driving 600 miles out to Baker here in July to get together with all the other guys here and kind of plan out what we're going to do in the fall and things like that. So yeah, it'll be good to see all the guys, and then I don't know, see if there's anything they want me to bring up at the Supreme Convention or just what to expect, and how to enjoy it all. I plan on taking a lot of pictures, taking a lot of notes. That way I can present, like, at least at our meetings, hopefully on the state level too, at other things about what goes on, because there's a whole the magazine, the Columbia Magazine. There's a whole issue that'll come out probably in September or October that just deals just with the Supreme Convention. There's lots of pictures and what the speeches were and what the agendas were and things like that. But to get it from a local perspective, I think will help a lot.
Well, I like the fact that we're talking so much about the information and kind of the inside look at the Knights here, because for a long time the Knights were kind of a secret society, right?
Yeah, maybe
Ish.
Yeah, maybe secret. Maybe they kind of worked in the background. It's not really. I would say a secret one, but yeah, it worked in the background, and people maybe didn't know exactly what they were doing. But now we're more prevalent and everything, because you can always see the guys. I mean, at all of our events, you have the 4th degree regalia that people wear, but if we were just at another event, the guys typically wear the blue shirts that from the Knights of Columbus. So you'll see us out there doing different things.
Well, was there anything else you wanted to say about the Knights before we end for today?
Well, let's see. It seems like we've covered a lot of stuff here. We talked about what the state did and the council does, some of the Supreme things, how we're looking to grow, what the core values are, a little bit about the history. Let's see. Oh, yeah. We've forgot to talk about it. Some of our meetings here, you even mentioned it about the at the end about praying for different Knights and their families, and ones that passed away, or ones that are in the hospital, or their wives who have a condition or are sick or something like that. Yeah, that's another thing. But we pray for a lot of different things at the end of it. So I think the power of prayer is a wonderful thing. All this manpower is great, and all the financial donations, but don't underestimate the power of prayer.
Well, I look forward to seeing what the Knights continue to do for our faith and for the world in the future.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm glad to be a part of it. You as well.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Bob.
Hey, thanks. Yeah.
If you've been listening to God for a while and feel He may be calling you to a deeper relationship, you're not alone. On a daily basis and across the world, Jesus is inviting people just like you to follow Him. So where does one begin? Many people are finding answers and a profound sense of belonging in the Catholic Church. Whether you're new to Catholicism or have been away for a while, you are always welcome home. Begin renewing your relationship with God by attending Mass and learning more about the Catholic faith. We encourage you to accept Christ's invitation and begin your faith journey today at St. Francis Xavier Parish or your local Catholic church.
Thank you for being with us today as we walk as pilgrims this road together. If you feel called to learn more, please consider checking out St. Francis Xavier or your local Catholic church. All are welcome into our community as God loves us all equally. If you are interested in supporting the Vox SFX podcast, please visit sfxmissoula.org/donate. Until next time, go forth in peace and be the light of Christ in someone's day.
By Jove, we've got it.